Good morning, Warriors. Good morning. It's 10:08 or so. Excuse me. We have an agenda that we need to take care of, and we have some members that need to leave. Unfortunately, we are mourning the death of four of our warriors that just passed away in the last few days. So let's get started. If everybody would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. A pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible,
For liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I want everybody to join us. Marshall, can we have a roll call?
Yes, sir. American Legion Post 59,
Present.
Catholic War Veterans. Press. Disabled American Veterans.
Present.
Korean War Veterans. Laredo Veterans Coalition, Antonio Martinez, or his alternate, Denny Herrera. Okay, so both are not here. LULAC Veterans Council 777,
Present.
Marine Corps League, Mr. Alvarez or Enrique Marks.
They're at the funeral of
Funeral. South Texas, Afghanistan, Iraqi veterans, Mr. Lopez, he called me yesterday. He had an emergency with his wife. He was going to send Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez is here. Valor, Mr. Trevino. Veterans of Foreign Wars, Mr. Salazar or Mr. Quijano.
Present.
Webb County Service Office,
Here we go. Present.
sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Marshall.
I would need excuse by majority, an excuse for the ones that are not present.
Can I hear a motion to that effect? We have a motion to excuse and approve excuse of those members that are not present. We have a second.
I'll second.
Is it second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Marshall. Before we go to the approval of minutes, especially today because we have lost four of our warriors, I'd like to have a prayer. Mr. Gomez, will you lead us on a prayer?
Heavenly Father, we come to you together, asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Amen.
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 Thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for the September 14th, 2021 meeting. Any motions? Any corrections, deletions, additions? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
We approve the minutes.
We have a second? I'll second it. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of September the 14th, 2021. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Marshall, the next item we have is the citizens' comments.
Yes,
Do we have anybody signed up?
Mr. Sanchez, you wanted to come up to say a few words, sir?
Here.
That's good. Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Sanchez.
My name is Ernesto Sanchez, and I want to thank VFW 9194. I would like to thank David Garza, Commander Quijano, Ricardo Quijano, and Commander Victor Salazar for the great job they did. It was the most amazing presentation. They had beautiful speakers. The monument is beautiful. And I think they got somebody from Hollywood because it was so well organized. mil gracias por haber puesto ese monumento en Joe Plaza. Que Dios los bendiga a todos.
Thank you, sir. It is obvious our young warriors are making us proud, and we hope that the tradition continues until the end of time. Thank you, gentlemen, for all the good work you've done.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else, Marshall?
I just want to say what he was referring to was the ceremony we had, the Gold Star mothers and family that happened at the plaza. That's what he was referring to. Anyone else has anything to say? Your time? Okay.
Okay. Communications and announcements. Do we have anybody that would like to make a comment on any subject pertaining to the welfare and the improvement of quality of life for our veterans? Ms. Bazan?
Good morning, everyone. Julie Bazan, LULAC Veterans Council 777 for the record. I am here to formally invite all of the veterans, their families, their friends, and our community to join us for the red, white, and blue mass that is to honor and pray for all the veterans in our community and our nation, and whether they're here or they're abroad, we invite everyone to join us on November the 11th at 5:30, and this will be at St. Peter's Church. So please help us get the word out. There is a flyer that will be posted on social media. Mr. Jimenez, I'll forward that to you so that you can share it with everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you forward it to me, to Ms. Bazan, so I can forward it?
I definitely will. And then while I have the floor, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I want to thank and acknowledge Mr. Ernesto Sanchez, because it was his idea about this monument for the Gold Star mothers and families. And this gentleman goes above and beyond in ensuring that all our veteran service men and women and their families are not forgotten. And we definitely need more people like him. And thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Thank you.
Thank you. First item on the agenda, we have discussion with possible action on a resolution honoring Lance Corporal David Espinosa and any matters incident thereto. Do we have any discussion on this item? We do have a resolution that we would like to pass, to vote on and pass it on to the city council to find any different manners and how we can honor David Espinosa, Lance Corporal Espinosa. We were asked earlier, Güero Segovia were interviewed as why is it important? Well, it's important that we recognize everybody that all the military veterans that have served, in particular the ones that gave their ultimate sacrifice, their lives for the way of life that we live. Why is it more significant? There are different ways that we can see and look at it. One of the ways that we look at it is that David Lee was one of 13 veterans that were killed towards the end of the longest war that the United States has been involved, 20 years. We hope that we don't have to have any more ceremonies like we did with Lance Corporal Espinosa, but we know that in order to protect the way of life that we're used to, those are going to continue to happen. And we need to make sure that the people that they serve, honor them and remember them. But more importantly, the most important asset or natural resource that we have in the United States, in my opinion, is our children. And we need to make sure that our children understand why we have these liberties that we enjoy today. It's because like people like Lance Corporal Espinosa and everybody else that is in this room. So in that manner, the resolution, and I don't have a copy with me, but there is a copy of the resolution. Do you have one?
No, sir.
But there is a resolution that, do you have one, Ms. Bazan? Hey, she is more than a girl Friday, let me tell you. Thank you. Now, to read it is going to be the problem. I would like to read the resolution. Whereas Corporal David Espinosa was born in Laredo, Texas on July 20th, 2001, and whereas Corporal David Espinosa grew up in Rio Bravo, Texas, a community just south of his birthplace, and whereas Corporal David Espinosa attended and graduated from Lyndon Baines Johnson High School in Laredo, Texas, and whereas Corporal David Espinosa's dream was to become a Marine and fight for his country, and whereas Corporal David Espinosa realized his dream upon enlisting in the Marine Corps, and whereas Corporal David Espinosa was assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 1st Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division, 1st Marine Expeditionary Force at Camp Pendleton, and whereas Corporal David Espinosa received orders to relocate to Kabul, Afghanistan, to defend and protect the evacuation operations of Americans and their allies, whereas on August the 26, 2021, multiple attacks on the evacuation operations triggered several bomb blasts, killing over 160 people, including 13 American soldiers. And whereas 13 American soldiers, including Corporal David Espinosa, were among the casualties of this vicious attack, and whereas Corporal David Espinosa died in the service of his country, be it therefore resolved that the undersigned commander of the Laredo Veterans Service Organization express heartfelt condolences to the family of Corporal David Espinosa, and be it further resolved that these veteran service organizations will work with the City of Laredo, County of Webb, and business communities to memorize the service of Corporal David Espinosa in honor of his service. Be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution be transmitted to Corporal Espinosa's family, LBJ High School, the city of Rio Bravo, to commemorate and remember the ultimate sacrifice by a soldier in service to the country, that we may remember his name as he died for all of us. Signed, basically we all, the members of the coalition or the Veterans Affairs Committee, if we approve this resolution, I would like to hear a motion to see if we can approve that, and then I'll recognize you, sir.
I have a comment. Was he born in Laredo or was he born in Rio Bravo?
According to this resolution, he was born in Rio Bravo.
No, in Laredo. He was born in Laredo.
His record
He
says
lived.
he's born in Laredo? Okay, because it needs to be accurate.
No, it says here he was born in Laredo. Yes, it is correct. My mistake. Glasses or no glasses, I still can't see. And they even made the font even bigger here for me. No, he was born in Laredo.
Okay.
Grew up in Rio Bravo. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution to be forwarded to the City Council?
I so moved.
We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Will Ms. Perez, will you be able to put it on your item for the agenda?
I'm sure.
Yes, I will, for this, for Monday's meeting.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is another item that was discussed early this morning by the news media. And this is an item that has been lingering way too far. And there is a national movement to be able to bring this item into Congress as a bill. I'm sure that that's the case, so that we can honor those veterans that have served our country so bravely and not being rewarded for the service. Discussion of possible action on a resolution in support of the U.S. citizenship for all servicemen and women serving as non-U.S. citizens and any matters thereto. Basically what we have, and we all know that we have a lot of veterans that were not born in the United States, and they were living here by different means, different ways, but they joined the military and served proudly and honorably. And then they were deported or they went back to their country of origin, and now we want to give them an opportunity to become United States citizens if they wish to do so. This resolution that we have, and I also don't have a copy of it, but I know that one will surface here pretty quick. Thank you, Ms. Lozano. And I don't know if any of you have read it or not, but I would like to read this resolution. I believe, like I think that all of you believe, that this is something that we need to do. We need to honor our warriors that continue to preserve our way of life. Whereas the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC, is the oldest Hispanic Advocacy Organization of the United States, having been formed in 1929 in Corpus Christi, Texas, as and whereas LULAC Veterans Council 77 from Laredo was formed in the year of 2016, focused on veterans issues relating to education, health, burial benefits, disability claims, and other topics that impact the needs of veterans and as well as the civil rights. And as whereas LULAC Veterans Council 777 believe in building a consensus and works in uniting all veteran groups and community members for the welfare of all veterans and their families. And whereas John Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. The veterans proceeded to place their life on the line for the liberty and freedoms of the United States. Whereas numerous non-citizen veterans have fought in Iraq, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and other wars defending the United States, and whereas non-U.S. citizen veterans were not given guidance or access to secure their citizenship after discharge from active duty, and whereas after active duty, many U.S. citizens, veterans were issued green cards to remain in the United States, some have been deported for minor infractions or due to non-citizen status. Whereas President Obama recognized veterans by saying the veterans have served their country, now their country needs to serve the veterans. And it is time to deliver the much needed attention to those men and women that continue to defend our country and preserve our freedom. Now therefore be it resolved that LULAC Veterans Council 777, formed Laredo, Texas, urges the United States Department of Defense to establish a system that will offer and facilitate the securing of U.S. citizenships for all servicemen and women serving as non-U.S. citizens to become citizens prior to being discharged from the service. This resolution is to honor veterans of all wars and eras. I would certainly welcome a motion to approve the resolution.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So is that for veterans that were deported because of felonies, or I kind of?
Well, no, obviously, if they violated the law of the United States, and we know how scrambled those laws are right now, they would need to follow a path that is acceptable to the rest of the citizens of the United States, obviously. If they don't qualify to become citizens, and that's why, if you can correct me, Bassam, because I know you're more,
Yes, please.
more into it, I know that there's a national movement and there's a bill being prepared or it's already been prepared in Congress.
Yes, good morning, Julie Bassan, LULAC Veterans Council 777. We share this resolution with the Veterans Affairs Committee, and we're proud to say that through the LULAC Veterans Council, last year we presented this resolution to the National LULAC Office, who in turn directed it to their committee so that they could work with Congress in developing a bill, developing a system to get the process going. What we have seen firsthand, Chairman and members of the Veterans Affairs Committee, is veterans that have been deported for minor infractions and their family is left behind. And these are people that have never lived, many of them in Mexico or any place else. They leave their roots behind and they have a difficult time coming back. What we discovered is that even though they were promised to get automatic citizenship for their service to the country, there was never a system in place to facilitate that. So what we urge the Department of Defense is to develop a system so that when the veterans are being exited to go into civilian life, that there's a step there or a system in place where they check all the boxes, they sign all the forms, and their citizenship is filed to be approved, so that when they get home, they don't have to worry about anything. Because many of you can understand that the last thing on your mind when you come back home is to file any documents. And so this will prevent a lot of families from being disrupted, a lot of heartaches, and it'll give the veterans that have served our country the benefit that they merit.
Okay,
When you mentioned that there was a meeting with the Youth Veterans Affairs Committee, you're talking about the one in Washington, right?
That is correct, sir.
so I still didn't understand, so because that said infractions and were deported, not prior to getting out. So the language didn't.
I think the language there, Mr. Garza, basically says that many veterans, we have seen many veterans that do not have their citizenship and they were deported for minor infractions. So we want to prevent that from happening anymore. Those that unfortunately have been part of that, they've fallen through the crack in the system. There's nothing that we can do because we have to follow the laws regardless. But we want to prevent that from happening again in the future.
So it's not to.
It's not to go back and say, okay, these veterans were deported. That would take an act of Congress for doing something else. Now, if Congress wants to add that component that any veteran that was deported because of a minor infraction and they were not U.S. citizen, that we review their cases or that they be brought back under this new bill, it's up to Congress to do that, right?
Can I see the resolution? I just want to make, if I'm going to vote on it, whether it be yea or nay, obviously, I just want to make sure that the language is correct, because I could have sworn I understood to help bring back the ones that were deported. So, Chairman, because I think if they were deported or broke the law, maybe a minor infraction would be okay, but, you know, a major felony, murder, sex assault, rape.
I don't know.
That was not the intent of the resolution. If minor infractions, if they qualify.
A misdemeanor.
Well, that would be up to Congress to decide what is it that they can overlook or set aside, depending on the laws that we have. I know that they're working on a lot of set of new laws, but certainly we do not want criminals to come back regardless of their status, whether they were veterans or not.
Yes.
Let me just say that, you know, I don't know how many millions of people we have in the United States, but there's less than 10% of the population of the United States that have the honor and the privilege of calling themselves veterans. And that's a huge number because, I mean, of all the people that we have in the United States, less than 10% are veterans. So therefore, we're not trying to say that we need to bring everybody back. We're trying to say that we want to bring back those people that deserve to be coming back because they serve our country proudly and honorably. And I think that's a word that I use. I don't know if it's there or not. But obviously, we do not want to have any pedophiles or any criminals coming back. And that would be up to Congress to do it. Obviously, they're doing it right now because we do what's next to open borders. So there's a lot of work to be done in general. Right now, we're talking about veterans that serve our country, that can qualify and meet all the requirements that need to be met. And I know that there's a major movement nationally to be able to do that. The crossing of the T and the dotting of the I's would have to be done by Congress.
Okay.
But then again, we are here to provide whatever we can for our veterans, and not only because we bring something up to the chair means that we have to approve it. We're just putting it out to the membership. If you do not feel that that's the thing that we need to do, then so be it. That's what we're here for. We're here to be able to vote on how we can improve the quality of life for our veterans.
I think what you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, is very important. This is an invitation to the Veterans Affairs Committee to support this national movement that needs to continue until we see it come to fruition, because why do we stand here saying we support our veterans if we're not doing everything we can to help them? And by supporting a resolution like this one, it prevents many veterans exit the military or the service without their documentation in order. That in itself, we're impacting them, their families, and their future mental health, in my opinion.
Yes, and for the record, I had one of my soldiers, obviously not gonna say his name, was not a U.S. citizen. He served honorably, did his tour, came back. He didn't stay in the military. to this day, he lives in California, has still not become a U.S. citizen. And, you know, in our friend group, we like tell him, hurry up, do it, you know, but it's his choice not to, for whatever reason. He's not hasn't done any minor infractions or major infractions or none of that. So in his case, it's a choice. So I'm sympathetic to, I do see the language, and this is me personally, I do see the language here where it says, whereas after active duty, any non-U.S. citizen veterans were issued green cards to remain in the United States, and some have been deported for minor infractions due to non-citizenship status.
I think we're getting caught up in technicalities, if
Yeah,
I
and
may
I just
say
wanna
so.
be-
We're just giving some historical background of how some of the servicemen that served different wars were given a green card, or they just left without completing their citizenship. We're, just like we gave you background on the LULAC and what we've done so far, we're giving you history on how some men and women went through these things. And so in order for us to avoid that, we need to come up with this system where the Department of Defense includes in the exit when they turned the veterans into civilian life.
Right, and I agree with that part. That's excellent. It should happen like that, you know. Let them get the choice before exiting, just like they get the choice to register with the VA or
And
not.
it'll be their choice, of course.
It's just, I just.
It'll be their choice. So when
Yeah.
David Garza goes to exit, and if you
Right.
choose not to become a U.S.
That part,
citizen, that's
I'm-
fine. But we want to give people the opportunity to say yes or no.
Right, yeah, so that part I agree with. It's the bringing back the deported that I would, if,
I would like to make a motion that we accept the resolution as read, you know, and if somebody has issues with it, well, they can vote against it. But let's vote so we can move on.
We have a motion on the floor to, excuse me, to approve the resolution as read. Do we have a second? We have a second by Mr. Sanchez. All those in favor say aye. All those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say that I would like the record to show that I'm gonna abstain from voting.
We have one abstention. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Yeah, does have to. This is, the next item on the agenda is something that we have discussed in communications in the past and in other forms, but it's something that we need to continue to discuss as long as we have this committee going. A discussion and possible action to start a campaign to recruit more veterans into the VA system and any matters incident thereto. I know that we have discussed this in the past and we talked about different ways, and you have done already some
Yes, sir.
events to try to do that. And basically, this item is here just to keep this topic, this information going so that we can increase our numbers. Even now, this committee, in my opinion, obviously, has done great things here in a very short period of time that we have been organized. But we need to continue to impress into our public to be able to have more people to join us, not only because you're not in the committee, that doesn't mean that you don't have to be here. We obviously need to have more impact, more input from the community, whether they're veterans or not. This committee here is to be able to discuss different ways on how we can improve the quality of life for our veterans. There's other committees that have the same task to do the citizenship in general. This committee's task is to improve the quality of life of our veterans. So we need to have more people to come out here. All of us need to do whatever we can to just bring even your members of your organization, that if they're not the selected representative, but just to come out here and just spend some time with us. 15, 20 minutes like Ms. Bazan did, you know, and some other people have done. So we just need to continue to impose on the people or impress the people to be able to come out here and join us for a half an hour conversation on how we can honor and improve the quality of life for our veterans. If anybody has any comments, I welcome those comments.
I just want to say, Chairman, that I get this a lot in my office or when we're out doing outreach or in cases like that and I have friends of my age or younger or a little bit older that they tell me, well, no, I don't want to register or I don't want to use services at the VA clinic or don't want to register for benefits or whatever the case is because they think, and I say think, that they're gonna take something away from somebody else, from another veteran that might need it more. And I try to explain to them, it's the opposite. You're not taking away anything from anybody else. You're actually adding, because the more veterans we have registered, the more federal funding comes to our area, to Laredo, to the county, to Rio Bravo, the more federal dollars come down here. So I think it is important. This is Ruben, my good friend Ruben is right there from the DAV. Him and Mr. Lupe Alvarez had approached me about this, and it's an excellent idea. And if you veterans hear somebody tell you, well, it's gonna take, I don't want to take something from somebody else, let them know it's the opposite. The government sends more money. The more numbers we have registered, the more money they send down. Federal dollars come down to our area. So just wanted to add that to it. And by all means, please let them know that they're not taking anything away from anybody. I just want to emphasize that they're actually adding to our services.
Absolutely. And one other thing, excuse me, one other thing with the news media is here is that while this committee is made up of representatives for veterans organizations, we do have a lot of veterans that don't belong to any organization. We welcome them to come out here and voice their opinion also. Anybody that comes to this meeting, in our opinion, will be able to have the opportunity to voice whatever concerns they have. That's what this committee is about. We have a way to be able to communicate to the city council. We have city council members as part of this committee to be able to bring or to take these communications to the city council to be able to improve our quality of life. So we welcome anybody that's a veteran to come out here, whether they belong to an established veterans organization or not. And hopefully the news media will be able to help us in putting out that word. I think we talked about the last time about PSAs and things like that. And we do need to have more because we don't have nearly enough veterans registered at the VA. And it is true, numbers talk. In politics, we all know that. If you've never been a politician, once you become one, you understand that numbers is the number one thing that you need to know about, whether it be votes and things like that. But really votes, people in Washington look how many votes are cast in each community. And if the votes are not there, they're not going to pay attention to us. And that's been the problem that Laredo and Webb County has had for many years. It's getting better. It's getting better now. But that's the problem. They will look at those communities that can produce votes. And if we cannot produce votes, we don't produce the numbers, we're not going to get the monies that we need to be able to improve the quality of life. Bueno?
Jesus Segovia for the record. Going back to that, there's a big confusion as to who can enroll or who can register at the VA clinic, okay? Do the Army Reserve, can the Army Reserve register there?
Yes.
The
National Guard.
National Guard. What organizations or what describes a veteran, okay? A DD-214, having served, because I know that if you serve less than 6 months, you don't get a DD-214. Let's say that you were in the reserve, but you didn't serve 6 months active, that doesn't qualify you for a DD-214, okay? So the numbers at the VA are very low because there's a lot of confusion as to who can register there and who cannot. Now, also, I've had friends of mine that have gone to the VA clinic to register, and they tell them that they don't qualify because of their income. What does income have to do with registering at the VA clinic? You served, you have the right to register, regardless of what you did after you came back from the service, and you enriched your life with, higher income. That doesn't void you from registering. I've had veterans that were turned away, friends of mine that were turned away because of their income. As far as the VA putting out there who qualifies and who doesn't qualify is a big, discrepancy right now, because I really don't know who qualifies or who doesn't qualify. I know I qualify, and I know most of us qualify, but there's a lot of reservists or National Guard or whatever that they don't belong there because they think they don't qualify. So who can explain exactly and put out to the media that everybody who served, whether you served in the reserve or the National Guard or whatever, that you have a right to register at the VA clinic? That is one of the biggest fallacies out there, that nobody knows who qualifies. Is there a certain income bracket that it takes to qualify? So, that's my point of view.
You want me to answer that?
Yes, go ahead.
So, off the top of my head, there's about 8 different ways of qualifying, and they each have their own different statute and ways to qualify. So, for instance, I know veterans that make extremely in the 1%, and they go to the VA system. However, I know veterans that are making, I don't know, I'm gonna say 50,000, and they won't qualify, they're overqualified. And that's where that 8 categories are in there. So the easiest way to get VA health care, that's where you go to the clinic, Audie Murphy, is to get a service-connected disability. It can even be 0. And mostly everybody here, most everybody that served before 2017, 16, something to that effect, will probably qualify, more than likely will qualify for tinnitus, which is ringing in the ears, or hearing loss, as you all seen the big lawsuit with the 3M, I think was a company. If you're service connected, that you definitely qualified, whether you were in the National Guard and only did your basic training on active duty, or in the reservists, or you're making $50,000 or $100,000, you will qualify. If you get service connected, getting service connected even at 0%, which means no monetary dollars are gonna come to you, you will qualify for medical services at any VA facility nationwide. And when you register for your service-connected disability, that goes straight from, I'll say, my office or Danny Flores' office, straight to the Houston regional office, the VA clinic in Houston, and you get registered there also. So that's how all those numbers become included, but there's at least eight different priority methods of getting qualified. But for some, it's very difficult.
Nobody knows that.
Yes, I know, and it's very.
We have discussed this before, and the income issue is very real, is happening.
Yeah, I see it all the time.
We had a discussion I think it was the very first meeting that we had, about maybe adding or having a representative from the local VA clinic to be part of this committee, so that we can have answers to questions like this. Because it is the VA clinic that we now have that is the most important thing, in my opinion, for our veterans right now, especially the older veterans. But not only we're not the only ones that have medical issues, that we all have. But we keep getting the same answers to the same question, which is we don't have an answer. Mainly because we also discussed that we have the gentleman that is in charge of approving this or receiving all this information that is not people-friendly.
Yeah.
You know, that's another issue that we need to attack. And we talked about that also. We discussed it, and we need to take action. Because it is keeping a lot of our veterans from enrolling into the VA system that we have here. And it is a very good system that we have compared to what we had back in the 90s, which we had a clinic, but we weren't getting any services whatsoever. So those are the things that we need to continue to discuss and bring up to the forefront and see if we can correct them.
Chairman,
Yes,
if
sir.
you want, I can, for our next meeting, I'll bring in the 8 priority groups, and that way bring copies, enough copies, or at least, to give to everybody here, and y'all can follow it, because they're basically policies and procedures that are written and guided by the Congress, by the US Congress, so they're firm, they're there. It's just, they're confusing.
They are, and sometimes they're
I've
not
worked there
being
for
followed.
8 years, so I can tell you, to me, they're still a little bit confusing, but I got the gist of most of everything there. So I can bring them, Mr. Segovia, and Chairman,
Yeah,
and
that would
then
be
you
good.
all can distribute them
It
and
would
pass
be
them around.
good, and-
You're still gonna have the issue that you mentioned that I would not mention of that.
I
Right.
know, but we have to call the bear a bear,
I have one more issue that is really unfair for every veteran who has less than 50% service-connected disability. Okay, they go to the VA, they have less than 50%. They get medications through the VA, they are generic medications, okay? These people that have less than 50%, 30%, 20%, 10%, their monthly benefit is very low, okay? So what happens? They're getting 6, 7, 8 medications, which are generic, and yet they're paying $27 for a 90-day supply of those medications because they don't qualify for free medications until you reach 50%, okay? If you have less than 50%, a veteran is being billed $27 for 3-month supply, where that same medication, you can get it at Walmart for $9.99, okay? This is very unfair to the veterans because it gets taken out of their financial monthly benefit. You have veterans out there that owe money right now to the VA because 7 or 8 of their generic medications are costing them more money than what they're getting every month. I tell a lot of veterans that go to my office because I am in the health industry. I tell a lot of veterans, look, go to your primary care physician at the VA. If you have less than 50% benefit, go to your primary physician to give you a written prescription where you can take it to Walmart and get that same medication for $9.99 for a 3-month supply instead of having to pay $27. That is something that should be brought up to Congress so that veterans get their medication free. We get it free, okay? Anybody with 50% or more, we don't have to pay a penny for any generic medication. And a lot of veterans are being taken, with this price that they're paying $27 for a 90-day supply, where they can get it for $9.99 at Walmart.
Well, let me also say that this particular conversation has happened with Harlingen, which is our headquarters, in different platforms. Rolando Gonzalez and I had a meeting with Hugo Martinez and the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Magua, I think it is, and we discussed the same thing, the same issues that we discussed. But when you have 2 veterans talking about it, they're not going to listen to us. But as a committee that we have here that is duly sworn or created by the city of Laredo and being represented by 12 different veterans organizations, we carry a little bit more clout. But we need to continue banging at the door until we break it down because they're not listening. Those things are happening every day. They run out of medication, so you don't get your medication because they don't have any. They can't pick up the phone and call San Antonio or somewhere else to send it, no, you just don't get it. So there is a lot of problems that we need to continue discussing. That's why this item is very important, that we just continue bringing to light, bring it to the forefront. Eventually, we're gonna crack this door open and just knock it down. But we need to work at it as a group, as an organization, as a committee, as we are right now, and bring in more membership. That's why this item is important. And this is not gonna be the last time we talk about this, but yes, if you would please bring somebody in that can get this qualification issue done, because there is a lot of confusion. And
Yeah.
so that we can put it out and maybe get some PSAs and things like that to do that. So we don't need to take action on this item, we just need to continue discussing it every opportunity that we have. Any other discussion? Thank you. Last item on the agenda, we have discussion with possible action to request assistance from the city of Laredo to locate a property for a Vietnam Veterans Memorial Walking Trail and any matters incident there too. There's another item that we have discussed about before. There is a continuing discussion among veterans and city council members about this. Do we have anybody that'd like to bring some light to this?
On the walking trail?
The walking trail. Yes.
Okay, this is a simulation or a more or less picture of South Vietnam, okay?
Well, for the record, can you just tell us who you are and what you're doing and
Yes, for the record, Jesus Segovia, Vietnam veteran. This is a simulation of South Vietnam, with the DMZ being up in the north side, and those 27, those green spots that you see, represent 27 oak trees, which will honor our 27 veterans that never made it back. This trail here was proposed to happen at on the south side property of Vietnam Veterans Memorial Park. This area has already been taken up, from what I understand, by Dr. Mateo. They're proposing a, what is it?
ADA Park.
An ADA park. Okay. I am 100% for the ADA park instead of a walking trail, because the ADA park is something that is way overdue for the children of Laredo. So this walking trail can be built somewhere else. I am proposing that we look into the property right next to the public library on Calton Road and McPherson. It used to be a park many, many years ago, okay? The area there right next to the public library is large enough and big enough to accommodate this Vietnam Veterans Memorial Walking Trail. So I am proposing to see if somebody can check on this particular property and if we can use it to establish our Vietnam walking trail there. And again, I say that the reason that I simulated this map to represent South Vietnam is because along with the 27 trees, right in the middle of the park, of the walking trail, we proposed a memorial cemetery with 27 tombstones, you know, the headstones, representing each veteran that died from, that passed away in Vietnam from Laredo. On the lower portion, you're gonna see where it says Kiwanis. We are proposing a flag ceremony pit there for our Boy Scouts of Laredo, so that we can celebrate with them on Flag Day the burning of flags, okay? And this would all be included within this walking trail.
Retiring of flags, not burning.
Retiring, I'm sorry.
Retiring, not burning, retiring.
I'm sorry, I correct myself, retiring of flags. And so, along this map here, where it says DMC up on top, as we all know, anybody who was a Marine know that the upper portion of South Vietnam was mainly Marine area, okay? Quezon, Chulai area over here, Central Highlands, and then you have Da Nang, Nha Trang, Cam Ranh. So I was proposing along the trail to put the different names of the different areas and bases that we toured in Vietnam, okay? So as you walk along the trail, you say, hey, I met on Nha Trang. I went through Nha Trang on a convoy one time. So no, it'd be a discussion, you know, for people walking the trail, you know, especially Vietnam veterans. And so I hope that we can get that land next to the public library, because it's big enough. There's a lot of mesquite trees there, but a lot of them are ya podridos, and it can be cleaned up real good.
And then we can plant our 27 oak trees there to represent each veteran. Thank you so much.
Okay, about that area, Mr. Segovia, I do believe there's already plans for that area, so I'll ask on that area next to the library, but I do believe that one's taken. There's already something planned for it. But we can look around to see, I mean, that was a good idea where you were thinking about up north, but that was also taken, so I mean, land is very.
I go along 100% with the ADA part. That is long overdue, and that would be the perfect place for it.
Yes, sir.
But
If this one's also taken, we'll keep looking.
okay, this area, this walking trail represents 1/3 of a mile, okay? If you walk the whole trail, it'll be 1/3 of a mile.
So if you get, how many square foot acres, or what do you think would be needed for this?
Well, I think we were gonna cover it with a couple of acres.
Okay. Yes, sir.
There is another area that, and I don't know whether the city retained any of that land or not, but the city sold some acreage east of the airport entrance, by the lake, where there's a lot of environmental issues at the time, and there's a wetlands out there. That if there is some land in that area with the wetlands and they're protecting all that area, that land would look a lot like Vietnam because of the palm trees that are there and the wetlands and things like that. And I don't know if there's any land out there. So I think that if we are gonna make a motion that we make a motion that we direct or ask the city council to look for a tract of land that will be accessible to be able to build this memorial, because what it is it's a living memorial for
Yeah.
Vietnam veterans.
It's a memorial.
So I'll make a motion as you said it, Mr. Vela.
Yeah, okay, and let them look and see what it is to present to the committee, and then we as veterans can, and I know you put a lot of work, you and your group have put a lot of work into this, Bueno, and it is something that I think we all agreed on. We also discussed about the young warriors having their own walking trail in another area also. And we need to do that. We need to separate our eras, but we also need to work together because we can't do it by ourselves. I mean, just the Vietnam veterans can't have this happen unless we have the support of the young warriors also.
Exactly.
And they will have our support when they're coming up with their ideas. I just want that for the record to understand. We don't want to lose the young warriors also to be part of our group. By our group, I mean veterans. I don't mean to say all of us, you know.
Also, the county may have some land
They may have some land also.
that the city can trade with, okay? And, because I know that was proposed sometime back, when we were talking about the museum, that, if there was an area where the county owned that land, and they could switch it with the city or vice versa, you know?
And so that's the way the motion, you want to make the motion that way, that we ask the city of Laredo to look for a tract of land that will accommodate, and you can present that, or provide that map so they can have an idea how much area they need. To look for a tract of land that we can have this particular project to honor the Vietnam veterans.
I make my motion as Mr. Vela, as stated right now.
Okay, there's a
As our
motion
chairman,
made. Do we have a
chairman
second?
stated.
Do we have a second?
Second.
It was second,
Hey, you have a comment, sir?
I have a comment.
Can you come up to
go ahead. I thought you were seconding, but.
Doug Alford, representing myself. Couple, 2 or 3 years ago, I worked on the college campus for a museum, for a space, for something to build a fire disposition area for the flags in Flores Cemetery. This all got working pretty good. I had a lot of support out there, financing, contracting, and so on and so forth. Got all of it done. The problem was, and the problem still is, well, not like it was, the president did not want to get involved in the veterans. And his words were, I don't want to get in turmoil with those skirmishing veterans. They don't know what they want, they can't agree on anything, and I don't want to get involved in
Who
it.
said that, Doug?
The president of the college.
He's not
The
there
present
anymore.
president or
No,
past?
the one that's gone.
Okay.
So he's gone now. Mercurio Martinez was all for it. Everybody's for it. But it's got to get the approval of the president.
I don't see how that can happen if the board is the one that really,
Well, I
because what
don't see how it
understand-
could happen either, but it did happen,
Yeah,
because I was in the middle of it.
Just in short, that issue was, is not relevant today because we're together on this particular item. I would say, in my opinion, all veterans are together for this particular
Okay, I
item.
understand. I understand what you're saying, but at the point this was taking place, now, I don't know what his agenda was, but that was what killed it.
okay.
Yeah,
What-
but I think
what-
for
what-
this, we're all together on this
Yes,
one.
it's coming as a
Absolutely.
committee.
Okay, I understand, I'm throwing it out there for action or
thank you.
non-action, or just a statement on my part.
Well, I think right now the motion is that we ask the city of Laredo to look for a tract of land to see if we can have this project done. If they don't, then we'll find another way.
Okay, then I remove.
But we appreciate the information. I was not aware of that the president was against
I was
anything with.
deep, I went before the board out there, and I did a lot of work on
Right.
that thing. And the facilities are still there. The spaces are still there. There is plenty of opportunity, spaces out there for everything that, Weddle wants to do.
What you're saying is that there is a space out there that could accommodate this project.
There's plenty of space out there to do that.
Well,
Plus,
and we'll leave the city council that task to see if they can find a proper location for this project.
okay, the city council and the college can't work together.
Oh.
I mean, it's not because they don't want to, it's they legally cannot do that. The college has to fund it, the college has to handle it, they cannot work, they get approval for the things that are necessary.
So let's task the city council, if they cannot find one, then we will take it directly to the city, to the junior college board.
First, yes, sir, I agree. First, let's go with ourselves, with the city, and then we also have county, and we can
Okay,
look out.
then believe what I just said.
No, that
I
was
understand.
very
I
important
understand. I put
information.
a lot of work in that, and the reason he didn't do it is because of the disparities between the veterans.
Sure.
And he did not want to get involved in that. He's not here, somebody else is there.
Well, if you could give us some more information for the next meeting as to where this land is and what's there already, because we might end up
Well, I'm
going
not
out there.
gonna- No, I'm saying now, I'm not gonna touch it anymore, I'm gonna shut it down.
Okay.
No, I have a question. Are you talking about buildings or actual acreage where we could?
You got acreage out there, you got the guardhouse out there, which is a museum, could be,
Okay, without, not the museum, we're talking about the track, the walking track.
Walking trail.
you got space out there behind the guardhouse.
Okay,
There's plenty of space out there. You could give up that big court he's got out there that they don't use. They got lots of space.
okay, first we're gonna go through the city.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, I'm gonna reach out to the Parks Director, Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. JJ, Coach, and see if he has anything in mind. He knows a lot about the parks and what they
And the
have.
reason that I brought up that area over there by the lake is because the area over there simulates some of the wetlands in Vietnam. And that would be some kind of education. I don't know whether the city still owns any of that land or not, but they used to own part of it. It's
I'll
right
look
next to the
into it.
lake.
I will
So,
look.
but they know better where there's land available. They just task them or give them the task of finding an area where this project can be
Thank you
made.
for your attention.
Oh, thank you, Doug, appreciate it. Any further discussion? Ms. Sanchez?
I would like to ask the city a favor for them to extend the sidewalk so it will go all the way to the Gold Star Monument, so the people won't step on the mud. It's 30 inches by 8 feet. I don't know how to put it through you all, but
Mr. Sanchez,
sir.
just because they keep calling to my attention, would you just identify yourself, please, for the record? Your name?
Ernesto Sanchez.
Thank you.
Point of order, sir, that would probably be, something to put on the next agenda. 'cause
Yes,
this is-
it is a point of order, and it's not on the agenda, Mr. Sanchez, but
I
we
did.
put it on the next meeting agenda,
Yes.
so that we
you
can extend the sidewalk.
You can stand also the rope and put another, I don't know
Mr.
what-
Sanchez,
post.
Absolutely.
I'll get
We-
with you, and I'll show you a map. I could go visit you and you tell me what you want, and then we'll put it on paper, and it has to come, we can't take action on it because it's not on our agenda, but it will be in the future meetings, and
Well, I forgot about it, but
it's
I ask-
okay.
I ask you that favor, please.
Yes,
No,
sir,
we'll
get
put
with
it on the
him.
agenda for next meeting. Any other discussion on the motion that we have on the floor? All those in favor to ask the city, motion made so that we can ask the city to look for a tract of land that will accommodate the project called a Vietnam Veterans Walking Trail, Memorial Trail, correct, Whittle? Correct. All those in favor say aye. All those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. That is the last item of the agenda. Before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I'd like for you to think about postponing the meeting for December and put it on the agenda next meeting, being because of all the festivities and things that we have, unless we have something very important in the emergency type basis, we can call it an emergency meeting. Just to think about it. We're all gonna be very busy, hopefully, and I'd just like to postpone the meeting for December. So just think about it for an item for next meeting, Marshall.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Second,
We have a motion and a second to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Say aye. All those against say nay. The ayes have it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Warriors, again, thank you for being here today. We'll see you next week, or next month, rather.
Thank
I'll
you,
say
Chairman.
There it was.
Ms. Butler.